you doing, Leonard?
I know. You're fantastic. How are you?
Great and
Took a
grateful.
break. Still, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
took my break.
been only 8 hours for you.
I'm on hour 13 of the day so far, and I'm on streaming. What are we at? Streaming for 5.5. So a cheeky 20-minute break. Well, much needed, but we're here. We're live. I'm glad that we got all three of us on this call. So if you don't mind, can we introduce from the left to the right?
Of course. So this is Pedro. He's the mastermind of the marketing company itself. He basically he whispers all the strategies, and he's the brains, right? I should make him probably a bigger part of the brand. More posts about him on LinkedIn, but other than that, he's just a 7-year-old cutie at this stage. He's gonna live for another 20, even though he eats absolutely everything he can get his eyes on, but probably will survive. And otherwise, for myself, as I mentioned previously in the quick chat, I'm a marketing strategist by trade. That basically means that I focused more onto how to put the parts together so they work well and work in harmony for any business when going into either a new go-to-market strategy or launching a new product or whatever have you for a business, how to make every single component work together, right? So that's kind of the role of the strategist. It's less about just the day-to-day operations. It's about just the content creation. It's about, how does that work with the finance department? How do they work with the logistics department? How does everything work together, and kind of how can we set up a successful business from here on out?
Awesome. So I would love to dive a little bit deeper, but before we do that, why do you do what you do?
So now you've tried to start with a simple question, and yet it's so difficult. So I have actually I was going to become an astronaut. All right, let's start there, maybe. So I graduated aviation management and pilot studies, and the only thing that stopped me from becoming an astronaut was actually the fact that I'd have to go as a pilot specifically through military school or the military programs, wherever it is, because my bachelor's itself was in management more so than any specific engineering or science. So I had to go through that, and I'm not the biggest fan of military in general. So I decided, you know what, I probably will just become a pilot, but a pilot for pilot's sake. I mean, I can always fly. I can get the small license and fly myself and have a bit of fun. I don't really need to become a commercial pilot. So instead, I decided, I'll have my own business so that I can one day buy a ticket to the shuttle and go to space that way, right? Instead of actually becoming the astronaut itself. So that's the plan right now. That's what we're building towards.
We're gonna go find a path to get on the phone with Elon and get ourselves a couple tickets. That's the goal?
Yeah, that's one day, absolutely.
All right. Okay. So we're exactly halfway through the year. What's the big thing that you keep hearing about this year? What's the big problem that people keep coming up against so far?
Well, funnily enough, actually, the one thing I'm hearing and seeing everywhere is the same thing you hear no matter where you are, right? And no matter what year you pick. It's always the struggle of people think that they have mastered the algorithms, or that they figured out the changes in the SEO, or they figured out the changes in something, and then all of a sudden, no, they aren't, right? Something changes, something's different, something is tweaked. And for example, LinkedIn, with the massive fall down through like reach and impression rates and stuff like this, from, let's say, as I was getting 25-30K per month, and now per week, sorry, and now I'm getting maybe 10, right? Has dropped massively, but the connections themselves are seeing a lot more stuff. As was mentioned earlier, maybe even in the morning sessions, was the fact that with a new connection for the first 2 weeks, they're seeing everything that you do, which was a great insight, and something that is correlating to what I'm seeing as well, based on the fact that, yeah, the new people are seeing it, but after that, your old connections and stuff like that, unless you keep a network through them and keep that relationship up, it's very tough for them to keep on seeing your stuff, and for new people who you haven't connected to actually see what you're looking for, unless you've optimized your profiles, unless you're doing things, let's say, by the LinkedIn book, right? That's specifically for LinkedIn anyway. And the next big thing would be that still to this day, when it comes to marketing, people see it as a cost center. They don't see it as an investment. They see it as something that is, oh, I'm just going to spend money here. But in a matter of fact, it is like printing money, right? It should be a place where you put in €1, you get in €1.20, you get in €2, you get in 5, right? And
so let's dive into that. So
Yeah.
what is a campaign? What's an idea? What's a message? What's an approach that you've seen that just feels like printing money? How do we print some money, Leonard?
I know, right? I mean, that's the easiest question to ask. Right? And I'm go, I want to print some money today. Let's go, right?
Let's print some money. Need money.
Well, realistically, this is actually part of the reason also why I joined and I became the strategist, is that it's always, oh, nobody expects it to be simple either way, right? It's never just printing money, but people like simple, right? So we like seeing all of those, posts online going like, oh, get rich quick schemes, right? It's always, a 10-day course on dropshipping, 10-day this on whatever, and you'll be making 6 figures per month per, in 6 months time, and you'll be vastly rich and everything will be going well. Well, the truth is that it relies heavily on the initial idea that you have, right? It's whatever your product is, whatever your service is, software is, you need to know who your audience is, not just because you can target them, right? It's because you need that product market fit. And in order to get this growing, and in order to get potentially investors on board and every next step going smoothly, you need the founder market fit, right? Which is even more important. You as the founder need to know what you're doing. You need to understand the market. You need to understand your product, and you need to know whatever there is to know about that place. And from there, you can actually delve into, what marketing suits that specific product, that specific niche, and that specific market, right? During the quick discussion which we had, we were talking about cold calling and emails and what else you could do. But as we mentioned, it's so different and so much reliant on who it is that you're actually trying to reach, that unless you have that answer first, nothing else matters.
Okay. Well, let's use it. What can we, if you don't mind, can we use an example? So what's a company that was struggling before you met them? You found the founder fit. You found the founder fit. And then you hit it, and then the campaign went great, and everyone's happy. We're all doing songs and dances because we're printing money. So let's go through the specific example. What was the spiel? How did it work? And why do you think it was well received?
Yeah, of course. Well, one of the names that pops to mind is actually the Founder Institute. So we did a campaign for them for their Eastern European cohorts here. They were in Sofia and Bucharest, right? And what we did was we increased their applicant rate because they basically try and get as many applicants as possible, and then they select 30 to 50 seats to fill out their cohorts once a year. It's a accelerator program for anyone who doesn't know. And the Founder Institute was struggling because their marketing guidelines were all handed down to every single cohort in a nice little package from Silicon Valley. The problem there is that there is no local fit by doing that. There is no understanding the local market if you just apply the same approach everywhere, right? So they had their ideal customer profiles, but those were for the customer profiles of the entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley, right? And it had nothing to do with the local entrepreneurs in Bulgaria or in Romania, right? So the first thing that we did was, thankfully, we had the blessing of the head director here, who she was also on the board of directors in Founder Institute for Silicon Valley as well. So she had the opportunity to say, yeah, we can test this out. We can test out a new local marketing strategy, right? And that worked fabulous. Like, we had proper marketing campaigns and with ads that were targeting specifically the Bulgarian market. They weren't just in English. They were actually translated into Bulgarian and into Romanian. We got to talking with the people to get them excited about what they are actually seeing and understanding that this isn't just a massive conglomerate, right? That's trying to, sell you on something. It's here to help, right? It's here to promote entrepreneurship. It's here to teach you about this stuff, even if it is for free. We give value, we have webinars, but they never knew about this in this market, right? So for them, understanding the market, understanding that there is a difference between, being a global company and acting locally, right, and thinking locally. That was the massive change that they really needed, and we got genuinely incredible results. I mean, we cut their ad spend, I think, by a third, or sorry, by 66%. So it was a third of what it was, and we got instead of the 100 applicants that they usually get, we got 300, right? So it was almost a 9x basically on their on their ad spend, which was absolutely brilliant. The results were astounding. The cohort itself was fabulous, and it was really fun to kind of also be a mentor there. But that was what was needed.
That's awesome. And so if you were speaking to another founder or leader who was potentially facing similar challenges, how would you guide them through that process to get even better results, to get the results faster? What would you tell them so that they could grab that low-hanging mango as soon as humanly possible?
That were right mango. Well, I mean, for that, it's always just making sure that as a founder, no matter how much you love your idea, because you will, right? And that's the most dangerous thing to do, is fall in love with what you do, right? To that extent where you go, no, this is gonna work, right? Or this next idea, that's the big one, right? That's so dangerous, because that puts on, just tunnel vision, puts up the tunnel vision, and you go, okay, it doesn't matter what the market is saying, I know that there's a market for this, right? And instead of going back and constantly asking them, I mean, how often do you ask your customers about what did they think about your specific marketing itself, your product itself, and so on, and just constantly get that feedback. And it's not even if you're in the pre-launch phase, whilst you're building this, you're not going to, lose a customer because you show them something that isn't finished. No, you show them how much you value their input, how much you value what they're looking for, to understand it more and to understand them more. And that actually builds up the relationship that we're talking about during all these sessions. That's what you really need to do. So the number one thing that will get you results tomorrow, literally, is going through either your LinkedIn connections, or if you have clients, just your customer lists, and going, right, how can I contact all these people? Do I just have their emails? Do I have their phone numbers? Can I just give them a call and go, hi, I'm from this and this company, I just want to chat. I would love for you to tell me, what do you think about it? Right? What do you think about the product? What do you think about what we're doing? Have you seen any of our ads later or posts? Any advice you could give us there? Any thoughts you could give us there? Do you like the colors? Do you like something else? Just get as much information from them as possible, and then give back in some way, right? Give back to them, because once they feel like you have paid attention to them and like you care, then you're going to, sorry about this, then you're going to get proper customer loyalty out of it.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I say this to my customers and to my team, at least every week. But my boss is data, and it doesn't matter what I think, doesn't matter what you think, Mr. Customer, and it doesn't matter what you think, team member. Data is the boss. If the data tells us X, we're doing X. That's what's happening next, right? But trying to find creative ways to get X, get feedback from the customer. It's not going to be intimidating, or people might see it as a form of weakness to ask for feedback. So I think that it's not done enough. But you'd be surprised how. In fact, you were part of the. Remember, we were doing the top voice thing, and we asked you. I didn't know. What people thought of it, but we got incredible insights because we just asked. There's this Van Westendorp pricing model. Anybody hasn't heard of this, check it out. Van Westendorp pricing model creates like a little diamond thing on a graph that tells you how much is too expensive, how much is too cheap, and just ask really simple questions that make it easy for people to give you feedback, right? If you were to give somebody advice on easy questions that someone could ask to give you the feedback, what would be one or two questions that you might want to ask a customer or a prospect to get you some valuable feedback? What would be one or two questions?
Of course. I mean, for me, the number one thing is trying to establish whether the customer knows that this is an actual problem for them, or do they have to be educated, right? So that's a vital start of before they know how they're going to see us, before they think about us, do they even know that marketing strategies are a thing, or do they just think about, oh, I need ads, right? Yeah, I just need to post more on social media, or like do spend more on social media, and that's all that there is to it, right? And that's marketing, because sadly a lot of people do think that way, right? And understanding their level of knowledge, right? So the polls, for example, on LinkedIn, just asking, hey, what do you guys do, for your marketing strategies? And for example, I have a bit of research that I'm doing with trying to do about 500 founders right now, globally, is no matter if you're a founder, if you're a freelancer, whatever you are, what can you tell me about your marketing strategies and how you do them? Have you hired someone? Are you doing them internally as a management team? Do you use any frameworks like SWOT or ADA or Pesto, stuff like this? And get them to kind of think about their process so far. Instead of you telling them, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Just tell me, what do you actually do? Like, tell me when X comes up, right? When you have to post a new campaign, what do you actually do? Like, how do you go about this? And what do you think of? Or do you talk about it to other to your other departments? Like, do you talk to customer success and go, well, what do the successful customers actually say that they like? Tell me about this, because I really need to know. And it of course depends. If you're in a startup with 3 people in it, obviously the customer success is you. Everything that there is to do is you. But that's the kind of stuff that you need to know, right? You need to establish a baseline of, okay, so from the 30 or 50 or 100, 500 customers that we can talk to, this is their thought process. This is what comes to mind for them. And then you know exactly how you're going to target them with your messaging. Otherwise, there's no point.
I like it. I like it. Very cool. One of the things that I've noticed while meeting with you on numerous occasions is your vastly complex Excel sheets that seem to encompass every single business process within. It's like an ERP in an Excel sheet. I've never seen anything quite like it. What is the reaction from your customers, and do you think that this is something that other people could pick up, or this is a Leonard Adanoff special only?
Oh, that's actually a very good question. So the one thing I tell all my customers is that there's no such thing for 99% of them as being original, right? You can be creative, but do not be original. Learn from what works, right? There's a reason it works. Implement it and be creative in the way you adapt it into your business model and into your tone of voice, but use that, right? So in my Excel file, yes, there's like 20 tabs, and as I mentioned, I think there's a little review button there, and there's 593,000 cells that I use in that file, right? Like it's madness, and most customers look at it and go, ooh, right? That's their first reaction, because it's daunting. But at the end of the day, it's a simple, like, when you take them through it and when they understand that it's a simple follow this day by day, right? And you understand, so every single day, for example, for the content calendar for social media, we've explained exactly what you have to do, right? You have what type of post is it? Is it a reel? Is it a single image? Is it a carousel? Is it an article? Then comes the visual description of what is the visual part of this. If it's a video, it has to look this way and talk about this. If it's a post, this is how it's supposed to look like. Then what's the text inside the image? What's the every time I talk, you have to take the spotlight. Yeah, but every single little element basically goes through that. And my way of thinking about this is, yes, it could be prettier in, let's say, if I build it in Motion, if I on Notion, or if I do it in some other way, shape, or form, if I make a platform for it itself. But for me, every single thing, from the customer profiles to the budgets themselves, to the entire profit and loss accounts, to the SKUs, to my graphs on how much do influencers sell based on industry, based on follower size, based on whatever product they're selling, all of that's in there. And even the processes, basically explaining, if I want to post, create a post on social media, this is step by step with the times next to it, how much time it's going to take me. and everything is outlined. Because for me, this is as much a training module as anything else, right? If I get this and give it to someone, right, there should be enough information in there for them to be able to do it themselves, right? Everything themselves. There's nothing that's new. There's nothing that's incredible. There's nothing that takes, you know, a higher level of IQ than any other process. It's just follow the steps, right? That's it.
Awesome. Well, I think it would be pretty cool if people could actually get a taste of this mango, which would be pretty awesome. Have you had a chance to think about what your Godfather offer is? An offer that's too good to refuse? It'd be financially irresponsible not to accept the offer from Leonard.
Absolutely, yeah. So, well, financially, I mean, it's going to be free. So I'm pretty sure if you don't accept it, it's going to be made mad. But the idea would be that, let's say for the next for the next month, for the month of July, what we could do is you get a free 30-minute call with me through my calendar. You can book me whenever you want. And then what you get is this document itself with everything in it. You can check out the profit and loss. You can actually have the entire document itself. And I'll fill out a week of a content strategy for each one of your social media accounts, right? So you're going to see what that's like. You're going to get proposed budgets in there and see how that could actually work. So you can see, okay, from here, then you have a taste of it. You know exactly what it can do and what it can't do, right? Even in the introductory section, I have written, it can tell you how to build the rocket, but it can't build it for you, right? So it gives you the steps, it gives you the stepping stones, but from there on, it has to be adapted, it has to be analyzed, and you have to stay on top of this to actually get it working.
Amazing. So people are going to be able to fill in the details, who they are, what they do, company, website, blah, blah, blah. You're going to give them a bit of a blueprint. They can then do a deep dive with you for 30 minutes, and they'll see the mind of the could have been astronaut in a Google Sheet, but related to their business.
Absolutely. Yes.
Excellent. Well, I can't wait to get this out to people. Keep us in the loop and tell us what happens. Leonard, I really appreciate you taking the time. It was it's always a pleasure hearing your words of wisdom, mate. And great seeing you too again, green little buddy. And as questions come through, we'll make sure we share them with you and keep us in the loop with all the awesome things you're working on, mate. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Have a good one.
Have a great rest of your day.